Hello everyone, Ben Emerson here. Today I'm going to show you how you can hit your irons better by understanding what your body weight does and what pressure in your feet do in a swing. Now, what I see too often is too many people on their back foot trying to help this ball into the air. So I'm going to give you a couple of my favorite little drills just to get your pressure over to your left side, start punching the target and start enjoying some better shots. Coming up in today's video. So one of the things that I find when I look at people's golf swing, especially when we study them on things like pressure on our body track, pressure system, is actually you can see how they use the ground to actually generate power or not. And the thing is, I always find in golf is it's completely counterintuitive in the sense that actually the best players in the world are striking down on an object for that object to go up into the air. But that doesn't feel natural, that doesn't feel normal. So what people do is they try and help, and they get very good at getting their weight over onto this right side. Most people that I study actually load pretty well, and if you can load well, you can unload well, but it's actually how they get back again. So imagine if I've got to the top of the swing here, if I don't shift my pressure over to this left side to actually get that nice strike, and I stay on this back foot, and just release, well, all of a sudden I've changed the low point in my swing. So now if this is me set up, I've moved to the top and I'm here, if I was just to stay here and just swing, I'm fatting the ground, I'm hitting it behind here. So you probably do that a few times before getting really annoyed. So what do? You then try and add a compensation to stop hitting the ground, and you start either scooping it, you start chicken winging it, you start bringing in all these different compensations, these different swing characteristics, just so you can play golf. And I see so many people actually try and fix those problems. They video themselves face on like I am here, and they stop at impact and they see this big scoop and they go, well, I don't want to do that. Ben told me I need to have my hands ahead, so I'm going to try putting my hands ahead, but the body weight is still back here. And unfortunately, then that hasn't fixed anything. Same thing with the chicken wing. You see the chicken wing when the arms go up like this, that's the compensation that you need to hit a golf ball. So by removing it, now you're not playing golf. From my perspective, let's go after the body first, because if the body and arms are having a fight, the body's going to win 9 times out of 10 because it's just bigger. It's got the bigger mass, and the arms are just kind of following and just sort of relaxing around it. So let's go after the body first. So first thing to do is understand, let's pretend I'm punching the target. So let's pretend I'm punching the camera. To do that, what I would do is I would shift my weight onto this lead trail side, and I would actually then throw myself over to the left, over to this lead side, and I'd punch the camera. That would be a powerful punch. But what would happen if I did the opposite? What if I loaded onto this side, I started to move on to this left, but just before I did, I suckered back, and then I swung. What would that be like? This load here, I'm just about to shift, but just before I hit the target, I go back again. Then I swing through. Now all of a sudden, my body weight is going the opposite direction. My arms are just taking over. They're just like the compensation just to make contact. And a lot of golfers unfortunately play like this. What I want you to get out of this concept of, I need to get onto this right side, right? That's me loading up correctly at the top of the swing. But from here, I want to make sure that I'm shifting my pressure over to this left side, I'm pushing into the ground correctly so I can post up, clear my hips and hit some good shots. So I love using one of these pressure boards. I think they're absolutely amazing. It's literally got a nice bit of wood in the middle of it to give this nice kind of balanced seesaw kind of effect. Where it's really helpful is I can then really feel where I'm moving. So I just want to give you the timings of it, of where I like to see this pressure shift and this pressure change. So like with some of the best players in the world, most people start on their front foot. So they don't start on the back foot and then try and get onto the back foot. They actually push off the lead side, and it's that push back that gets you into this nice position. So I'm going to start onto this left side to start with. I'm going to feel there's a push off this into the back. Now I'm here, I'm loaded up correctly into the right side. But I want to make sure that I've pushed into that left side early enough so the ground can do its thing, it can work back behind me, because the downswing is literally a quarter of a second long. There isn't much wiggle room to make some errors or compensations in there. So what I want to do is get to the top of the swing, and before I change direction, so between where my lead arm is parallel with the ground and the top of the swing, I'm already thinking of pushing into this lead side. So I'm not going to wait until I get to the top, start the swing and then push. That's too late. I haven't got time to do that. So start on the left side, start on my lead side, take it to the top and push. Right, I love it. It's a great feeling, these balls. I absolutely love them because it just makes sure I can feel like I'm getting onto this left side, and I can tell instantly if I try and back up again. So it gives me a really nice feeling of when to do it. Just remember the timing of it. As that lead arm is parallel with the ground on the way back between here and the top, I want to make sure I've already pushed into this left side. I've pushed here before the club and my arm get down to parallel again. Now at this position, the club is pointing up to the sky. My left lead arm is parallel with the ground, and I've already put a massive push into this left side. Now I've got time to push back up again, rotate my hips, clear out the way, and deliver a club the way I like. So one of the things you can do with a pressure board is they're great for actually getting that balance and getting you used to shifting off that trail side over to your lead side. But when we're on the golf course, we obviously can't do that. We're on a driving range and we haven't got one of these boards. What do we do? So what I want you to try and do is actually, let's do some nice kind of slow rehearsal swings to start with, and actually just get used to this sensation of the club going back and you already shifting into this lead side. So I use a lot of the force pedal things, the things you can actually push into the ground with, but you can do this literally just by setting up, get the club lead arm parallel with the ground, pushing into this side, and do it just before it changes direction. Really get used to this shift. You see a lot of tour players practicing this motion to make sure they get over to this lead side, then they've got time to post up and time to rotate their hips. But the real goal is to make sure we've got off this trail side over to our lead side. Now, you can't cheat. Now, and I see this quite a lot, is people go, well, I don't want to, yes, Ben's told me I need to get off this side, so why don't I just not get on this side in the first place? That doesn't really work either. So what happens with this is they start onto this lead side and they go, oh, I'll just stay here, then I'm already here. But go back to that punch a second. Imagine if I was loading this way and then punched. There's no real power. I'm not getting my body weight into that shot at all. I always want to make sure body's going away, there's a nice pivot, and then there's a punch. That's me punching the target and actually just allowing my body to move out of the way and let the arms and the club come through. I don't need to go backwards. And actually most of the time when most people start on this left side, they actually then do the opposite. They do a reverse pivot and they come back again and hit, and you do actually end up with the same problem. The issue is that I want you to get onto this trail side and just get used to shifting all that pressure over to the left. One of my all-time favorite drills for actually getting your weight and your pressure moving correctly will always be a step change in direction drills. I've done so many videos of doing this, but they are just one of the best, just because not only does it start with a sequencing of actually getting your lower body firing first, but it actually trains you to get this early motion happening. So very simply, all you do is set up, club out in front, lead foot back to the trail, and as you swing past your feet, before the clubs reach parallel with the ground, I want you to feel that you're already shifting, already moving that pressure into this lead side. So by the time the clubs come up and change direction, you've already shifted onto this lead side. All you then have to do is simply rotate. So it looks like this: club back, up, and through. It's one of the best drills, in my opinion, of getting your sequencing right, understanding where the shift actually happens in the swing, and actually getting you enjoying some better shots. I think it's also really important to understand the difference between body weight and pressure. Now, to put it this way, if I was to move my body weight over to my lead side, I can still push into my trail side. Right, so on body track, when I'm actually measuring pressure, you can actually see this figure going up. I can see a nice big print here on my trail side, but my body mass is this way. That's not what we're talking about here. I want to understand it's pressure that we're working on. So when we get to the top, my pressure is in my trail side, and I'm shifting that pressure into my lead side. That's the shift. So again, lead arm parallel with the ground. Between here and here, we're going to start that push. So by the time our lead arms come back down and we've changed direction, now I've got the biggest push that I'm going to do into this lead side. So I can post up again, I can clear out the way, and I can just clip one down there. If you're one of those players that is really struggling with this to start with, let's go back to a simple basic drill you can do with the club and just start to feel the weight of the club again in your hands when you're swinging it. And I just want you to actually start swinging the club backwards and forwards just ever so slightly, and I want you to just pay attention to your feet. I want you to really feel that you're pushing into the ground, into the left and to the right as we go, and as that club is moving backwards and forwards. And then what I want you to do is to really get this sensation that it's going the opposite way. So as the club goes back this way, I'm already starting that push. It's there, there. That's the motion that we want to feel. As that club is coming back, we're already starting that push into our lead side. Now, when people talk about body weight, what I see sometimes is people actually can overdo this with their body weight, their body mass, and they can actually get to the top and think, well, Ben wants me over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move everything this way. Unfortunately, that's not really going to help, because now it's a lot harder to push back off the ground to clear. So there is a limit with this, but most of the time people just struggle to get off this trail side onto the lead side, and the timing is absolutely vital of when you do it. So just for a really quick recap, just take your normal setup, feel like you're on the front foot to start with. Remember, you're pushing off the front to get to the back. That gives you a nice load up to the top of the swing. We're then going to shift our pressure into our lead side. We're going to push as hard as we can into the ground. By the time the lead arm is parallel with the ground and the club is pointing up to the sky, we're going to push off the ground. It's going to rotate our hips, and it's going to deliver the club with a handle in front of the club head. That's a really nice impact position, and it will really start getting you hitting some nice solid shots. So let's have a go and see if I can put it together. Oh, I think I've flown the green. Too much power, gonna need to go down the club. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video. Please give it a go on the driving range next time you play. When you do those rehearsal swings, just get used to that pressure shift. You'll start hitting some nicer shots with a bit more power and a bit more speed. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.